Just have fun. Gonna do the two-step, then cowboy boogie. Grab a sweetheart and spin out with him. Do the hold down and get into it. Take it to the left now and dip with it. Gonna throw down, take a sip with it, and lean back.
Attention please, if everyone could take their seats. 5-minute heads up, we'll be starting at 7:35. Dada Nastada, Tansi, hello everyone. Please take your seats. To begin our event tonight, we acknowledge Mohkinstsis, Calgary, the lands where the Bow and the Elbow rivers meet. In the spirit of truth and reconciliation, we recognize the ancestral territories, culture, and oral practices of the Blackfoot people, which include the Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations. We also recognize the Lethka, Stoney Nakoda Nation, including Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley, and we recognize the Dene people of the Tsuut'ina First Nation. The city of Calgary is also the traditional homeland of the historic Northwest Métis and is home of the Métis Nation of Alberta Region 3. We honor all the people who share, celebrate, and steward the Treaty 7 territory of Alberta. This land acknowledgement reminds us of the histories that precede us, highlights our responsibilities going forward, and helps bring us together on a shared journey of truth and reconciliation. Hi, hi. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Cynthia Moore, President of your United Conservative Party of Alberta.
Thank you, and welcome to everyone here in the BMO Centre in Calgary, and those watching from across the province. We are here to celebrate the election of the new leader of the United Conservative Party. Before we commence the program, I would ask you to please rise for the singing of our national anthem. Please welcome Elizabeth Lewis, who will lead the singing of O Canada.
Right, so I'm going to do a little bit of a desk hunt. So all you guys need to do, you know the song. If you're singing along, just hold your line. O Canada, oh my native land, true patriot love in ever's command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the throne of strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for
Please be seated. Thank you, Elizabeth. It's an exciting night to be together. The United Conservative Party is a coalition built on a strong set of principles: support for a robust civil society, free speech, economic freedom, limited government, fiscal responsibility, protecting public safety, and supporting the family. Support for these principles and the hard work of our leader and our team led to our overwhelming election victory in 2019. Over 1 million Albertans supported a platform that laid out exactly what we would do. And the UCP government has now completed nearly 95% of those campaign promises. As a result, we live in a province with the fastest growing economy in this country, with all of its advantages. Our leader, Jason Kenney, has put his heart and soul into enhancing the livelihoods of Albertans. We intend to do a more fulsome tribute to him at our upcoming annual general meeting in Edmonton, but tonight, on behalf of the UCP Board of Directors and all of our members, I want to thank him for his service. We are better for his enormous commitment and wish him success in the future. It's an extremely exciting time for our party. The leadership candidates have helped grow our membership to historical levels. They met tens of thousands of members at events, forums, and our 2 official debates. They have traveled from Lethbridge to Medicine Hat, Calgary to Lacombe, Edmonton to Grand Prairie and Fort McMurray, and everywhere in between, speaking with Albertans on issues that matter to them. This leaves our party in a great position to take on the NDP in the upcoming provincial election. While our economy is booming with the largest in-migration in our history, we know that not everyone is benefiting equally. The challenges we face are well known. The discussions have been robust. Congratulations to our leadership candidates. Leela here, Brian Jean, Todd Lowen, Rajan Sani, Rebecca Schultz, Daniel Smith, and Travis Taves for their thoughtful and caring discussions of our future. To the campaign teams, all of you here and at home, you worked hard, played by the rules, engaged in the process, scrutineered in the verification center, and for the vote and count today. You joined hundreds of volunteers who risked serious paper cuts, spending hours checking IDs and making sure that every eligible vote could be counted. Thank you for your service. We are pleased to report that close to 85,000 of our eligible members have participated in electing our new leader, an incredible level of engagement. Tonight, you will hear from both our Leadership Election Committee Chair, David Price, and our returning officer, the Honourable Rick Orman, who we owe a deep sense of gratitude. This process was executed under their leadership. David was joined by a diverse group of experienced UCP members on the Leadership Election Committee. We are grateful for their hard work. The staff, under the direction of our Executive Director, Dustin Van Voot, continues to work in the best interests of our membership. We have one of the strongest political teams in Canada. We are not quite ready for the results, so before I bring up David and Rick, let's talk about the days ahead. We know why we are all here: to ensure the re-election of a united Conservative government so that this province continues to move forward and we don't lose all of the gains that have been made. That's right. Albertans want to see this government re-elected, but in order to earn their support, we need to be a disciplined party that Albertans can trust. We need to be united. I've been listening to you, and I know you want to be united in fighting the next election. Now, let me remind you that there are just under 250 days before that election. I ask each and every one of you to think about how you can contribute to a successful campaign in 2023. Whether you're a party volunteer or a candidate, whether your contribution can be big or small, every part of our team is needed. One more thing. Please join us at our annual general meeting at the River Cree Resort at Enoch in Edmonton later this month. We'll be doing important party business, including board elections, policy and governance, and election readiness training. And perhaps most importantly, our new leader will be giving an address to our membership. You won't want to miss it. It's a huge milestone. We're choosing the next leader of our party and the next premier of the province. To all of our leadership candidates here tonight, the message from our party and members is simple. We're behind you. We're united, and we'll do whatever you need to win the next election and keep Alberta on the right track. Thank you. I will now invite David Price, Chair of the Leadership Election Committee, to say a few words about the committee's work. David?
Well, thank you very much, Cynthia, and thank you all for coming here tonight. Dear friends, our Leadership Election Committee was called upon in May earlier this year to put in place the rules and procedures of our leadership contest. The membership of our committee included 12 individuals from across our province and from very diverse backgrounds, representing an excellent cross-section of our membership. I'd also like to note that every member on our committee served as a volunteer. Every single member of our committee dedicated hundreds of hours to our task, sacrificing time with their families and taking time away from their jobs and other commitments to serve. Now, these are some of the finest people that I have had the pleasure of working with in my professional career, and I could not be more proud of the work of our committee. Thank you. Together, our committee delivered robust rules for a fair, open, secure, and transparent leadership election. We did not promise we'd be running on time, though. But our overriding ethos during this whole process has been that of integrity, accountability, and fair play. Our every decision has been governed by one simple question: how do we do right by our members, by you? Our balloting process flexibly provided for both mail-in and in-person voting. The verification of ballots, the counting of ballots, and the calculation of results today has taken place under the supervision of our returning officer, our neutral returning officer, Rick Orman, and his team of deputy returning officers and an army of volunteers. In addition, all campaigns have been consulted throughout this process and have been invited to have their volunteer scrutineers observe both the verification and counting processes. Of course, I want to thank the candidates and their teams for all their hard work. Each candidate and all their volunteers should be proud of the energetic campaigns they've run, the vigorous ideas and platforms that they've put forward, and their significant efforts to recruit tens of thousands of new members to our party. Most importantly, though, I want to thank all the candidates for standing behind our process and respecting our rules. In addition, I want to thank the party staff and all of our volunteers who helped get us to this point this evening. It's been hard work, and they have not only processed all those new memberships, but they've ensured that we got over 120,000 ballots to our members in plenty of time to get them mailed back and counted, and all said we had approximately 85,000 ballots cast in this election. That is a huge turnout, folks, and we could not have had a smoother process, and we are very grateful to the hard work and the dedication of our staff and volunteers. And finally, I do want to thank the party board, especially Cynthia, for their resolute support of our committee and the trust that they placed in us to independently shepherd this process. It has been an absolute pleasure to have participated in this endeavor as we close out this long process tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, David, and thank you to all of the dedicated members of the Leadership Election Committee for doing such a great job. Okay, we are very close to getting the results. We'll take a quick break before being joined by the returning officer, Rick Orman, and the auditor from Crowe McKay. 5-10 minutes, and we'll be back. I don't know if, oh, here it is. Can I have your attention? We have some results, but, but we have some formalities. So before the results, I would like to invite Sam Kaketsis, Managing Director of Crowe McKay LLP, and auditor for this process, to say a few words. And I want to thank Sam. They spent hundreds and hundreds of hours both in the verification center and during the count today.
Thanks, Cynthia. Thank you, everybody. Our firm, Crowe McKay LLP, was engaged by the UCP to oversee and conduct various agreed-upon procedures over the duration of this UCP leadership race and election day itself. To begin with, I would like to confirm that our team was independent at the start of the engagement and has remained independent throughout the process. The end goal was for us to validate the election process and the tabulation of the election results based on the agreed upon procedures that we performed. To that end, the procedures we performed covered custody and security of the mail-in ballots, the verification process of the ballots, the in-person voting process, and finally the process over the security, integrity, and logic of the tabulation software providing the election results. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam, and to the entire team at Crowe McKay for your support and professionalism. Now, I would like to invite our Chief Returning Officer, Rick Orman, to explain the voting process.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rick Orman, and I'm the Chief Returning Officer, and our job is to oversee the leadership election and ensure compliance with all the rules and all the procedures. I was assisted in this task by 3 exceptional Deputy Returning Officers, Doug Caswell, Ken Bradley, and from Edmonton, Andy Travoy, and by 5 excellent in-person DROs, those that were in the remote sites, Ian Brody, Linda Lowe, Stephen Butt, Gail Langford, and Don Hubble. And we were supported by over 250 party volunteers who dedicated countless hours in helping with our verification process for the mail-in ballot and as poll clerks at our 5 polling locations. I'd like to thank all of these volunteers for their hard work and their loyalty to their party. And let me tell you, if anybody thinks this party is in trouble, they ought to come and talk to me, because I saw 2,000 hours of volunteer time to make this process work. The bylaws of the United Conservative Party require that a leadership election be conducted via a one-member, one-vote system. Unlike the federal party, we do not have a riding-by-riding weighted system. In Alberta, one membership means one vote, no matter where you live. To be named leader, a candidate must win a majority of the valid votes cast. If after the first round no candidate receives a majority, then the lowest placed candidate will be dropped from the race, and we will relocate their ballots based on their second choices and add them to the totals. This process is repeated until a candidate receives a majority, 50% plus one vote. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the time has arrived. We have the results for the first ballot. No candidate has received a majority of the valid votes cast, so we will go to another ballot. Leela Ahir has dropped off from the race, and the next choice on those ballots will be redistributed to the other candidates. We had 84,593 ballots cast. And I will read to you the percentage received by each candidate. Leela Ahir, 1.65%. Brian Jean, 10.99%. Todd Lowen, 7.68%. Rajan Sani, 2.11%. Rebecca Schultz, 6.9%. Danielle Smith, 41.31%. Travis Taves, 29.35%. So those are the results of the first ballot, and I'll be back in 5 minutes with the redistributed numbers. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that I want to say is congratulations to all the candidates and all their supporters. If anybody knows the task of running in a leadership, and I know the commitment and the time and the hard work that goes into it, those people are very important to our party. And even though we will be dropping one candidate off at a time, we cannot forget the contribution that they've made to this process. The 124,000 memberships that we have in our party is to a large extent because of the hard work of the candidates and the people that supported them. I now have the results for the second ballot. No candidate has received a majority of valid votes cast, so we will go to another ballot. Rajan Sani will drop off with 2.66%. Thank you, Rajan, for your hard work. Brian Jean, 11.25%. Todd Lowen, 7.71%. Rebecca Schultz, 7.32%. Danielle Smith, 41.41%. Travis Taves, 29.66%. So I will go back, we'll redistribute the second choice ballots of Rajan Sani's, and we will then be back with those results. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the results of the third ballot. No candidate has received a majority of valid votes cast, so we will go to another ballot. Todd Lowen has dropped off from the race, and the next choices on those ballots will be redistributed to the other candidates. Brian Jean, 12.07%. Rebecca Schultz, 8.02%. Danielle Smith, 41.70%. Todd Lowen, 30.41%. And Todd Lowen had 7.81%. So we will be back. Did I say Travis Taves dropped off the ballot? Did I say that Todd Lowen dropped off? So let me do this again. I thought I did it right. Brian Jean has 12.07%. Todd Lowen has 7.81%. Rebecca Schultz, 8.02%. Danielle Smith, 41.70%. And Travis Taves, 30.41%. Sorry if there's any heart conditions out there. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the results for the fourth ballot. No candidate has received the majority of valid votes cast, so we will go to another ballot. Rebecca Schultz, with 8.37% of the vote, drops off the ballot. The remaining candidates' percentages are Brian Jean, 13.5%, Travis Taves, 31.92%, Danielle Smith, 46.21%. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the results of the fifth ballot. Not yet. No candidate has received a majority of the valid votes cast, so we will go to another ballot. Brian Jean drops off from the race, and the next choices on those ballots will be distributed to the remaining two candidates. Here are the percentages per candidate. Brian Jean had 14.83%. Travis Taves, 37.43%. Danielle Smith, 47.73%. We'll be back in a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the results of the 6th ballot. Our members have elected a new leader. Please welcome the next Premier of our province, Danielle Smith.
I'm back. Well, if you're wondering why I wasn't nervous tonight, I must thank Layla Hool, whose grandma's watching from the Good Fish Reserve, and she gave me these peace beads at the very beginning of the evening, and Layla, they worked. So thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. And you should also know the family connection that we have with our returning officer, Rick Orman, was the very first campaign that I worked on in 1992 when he was running for leadership of the Progressive Conservative Party. And the reason I supported him is because he and my dad played football together at Crescent Heights. And Dad is here this evening as well, Rick, if you want to go over and say hello. So I'm just so delighted that our big conservative family is all together in one room, united and strong. My fellow Albertans, over the last 117 years, we have written a remarkable story together. It's a story of pioneers and farmers, entrepreneurs and innovators, communities and families. A place where the best and brightest come from every corner of this world to join with us in building one of the greatest places on earth to live, to work, and to raise our families. Tonight marks the beginning of a new chapter in the Alberta story. It is time for Alberta to take its place as a senior partner in building a strong and unified Canada. No longer will Alberta ask permission from Ottawa to be prosperous and free. We will not have our voices silenced and censored. We will not be told what we must put in our bodies in order to work or to travel. We will not have our resources landlocked or our energy phased out of existence by virtue-signaling prime ministers. Albertans, not Ottawa, will chart our own destiny on our own terms, and we will work with our fellow Canadians to build the most free and prosperous country on earth. Before speaking further, I wanted to just thank first and foremost my husband, David. It's funny, when I started running again, somebody asked me if I'd gotten divorced, because David's standard answer when anyone asked me if I was getting in politics again was, yeah, she's welcome to get back into politics with her new husband. He still loves me after all this. Imagine that. My wonderful parents, Doug and Sharon, are here this evening, as my uncle Blaine and my brother Doug and his wife Carrie. I'm delighted to have my family with me. But I do also want to congratulate and thank my fellow leadership candidates, not only for their commitment to the party, but also to democracy. Over the last several months, these great men and women have placed their lives on hold and sacrificed greatly because they love this province with all their hearts. They want to see our province move forward with strength and prosperity as much as anyone in Alberta. I want to thank Travis Taves for his integrity and for leading the charge in bringing our province's budget back to surplus from the brink of disaster under Rachel Notley's NDP. Alberta and our caucus are going to lean heavily on your strength and experience in the months and years ahead. I also want to thank Brian Jean for his passion and commitment to the grassroots and to making life more affordable for millions of Albertans suffering from the inflation crisis brought on by the NDP Liberal coalition in Ottawa. Thank you. And on a personal note, I want to thank Brian for showing leadership after I made a mistake in judgment in 2014. Learning from your example has prepared me for today, and this party will always owe you a debt of gratitude as one of the founders of this united Conservative Party. Thank you, Brian. I also want to recognize Rebecca Schultz for her compassion, class, and innovative ideas. Rebecca, you are one of the brightest lights in our province, and I can't wait to work with you to ensure so many of those great ideas become a reality. To Todd Lowen. Thank you so much for reminding us that MLAs are the voice of the people in government, not the government's mouthpiece to the people. And I look forward to working with you to ensure caucus lives by that principle moving forward. And on that note, I understand that over this last week, Todd, your fellow UCP MLAs indicated overwhelmingly in favor of you to rejoin the UCP caucus. And I invite you to attend our caucus meeting tomorrow morning so we can get back to work. So thanks so much and welcome back, Todd. I also want to thank Rajan Sani for her class and commitment to vulnerable and senior Albertans, and I look forward to advancing those causes together, Rajan. And to Leela here, thank you for your passion and commitment to serving Albertans, even if that means fighting a cowboy who's fallen off a bull. Or fighting a bull is to save a fallen cowboy. Thanks, Leela. I want to thank each and every one of you who ran. You are all great Albertans, and I look forward to serving alongside you. I would be remiss as well if I did not thank my friend, Premier Jason Kenney. Let us remember that Premier Kenney has fought for Albertans for decades, first as an advocate for taxpayers, then as one of the most effective and influential Conservative cabinet ministers in Canadian history, then leading the charge on unifying the Conservative movement, running and beating Rachel Notley's NDP, and then governing as Premier for one of the most tumultuous times in Alberta history. Although we may have had our differences these last couple of years on a couple of matters of policy, I want him to know that I admire and respect him. Thank you, Jason, for being such a loyal Canadian and a giant in the Conservative movement. Thank you, Premier. And a special thanks to my campaign team, who dedicated the last few months of their lives to helping us get to this moment. I simply wouldn't be here without you. And I should name just a few: the leadership of Matt Altheim, my campaign manager from Edmonton. Yeah, You'll be happy to know he knows how to beat NDP in their own backyard. That's why we got him on our team. And Rob Anderson, who's been such a great support for me over the years, an incredible policy advisor. Thank you. And also the other team, I have to tell you, one of my campaign members would always introduce our team saying, we've got an LPN, an electrician, at-home moms, a single mom, a PhD, and a yak farmer. And that is no joke. Every campaign needs a yak farmer. And finally, thank you to our almost 125,000 UCP members and the thousands of volunteers from every campaign in all corners of our province. Thank you for loving and serving our province. Thank you for the hours spent fighting for your party, your candidate, and for the values that they represent. If there's one thing I've learned about Albertans, it's that we don't expect our leaders to be perfect, but we do expect them to stay humble, admit when they're wrong, and to learn from their mistakes. I love that about our province, and I'm grateful to have earned this second chance from you. I will never forget it, and I pledge to you tonight, I will not let you down. My friends, tonight I invite all United Conservative Party supporters, our party, our caucus, fellow leadership candidates, all of us, regardless of who we supported during this leadership race, to come together and unite for the good of our great province. Albertans want us to be unified. They want us to succeed. Albertans don't want to elect a socialist NDP government any more than they want to see the Toronto Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup. Sorry, honey. David's a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. However, my friends, Albertans will no longer tolerate infighting and disunity. They rightly expect their provincial Conservative Party to be competent, cooperative, and unified against the constant threat posed to our economy by the NDP Liberal coalition in Ottawa. Unity is not a talking point. It is an action. It is something you practice rather than preach. Now is not the time for settling old scores or rivalries. It's not the time to punish our fellow Conservatives for past mistakes. This is why, as Premier and leader of this party, I am wiping the slate clean. The membership has spoken. They have given us direction on how they want us to stand up to Ottawa and protect our freedoms, and we will follow our members' direction on this without delay. However, every single UCP MLA, regardless of who they supported or what they have said or what decisions they have made in the past, good or bad, is not important at this moment. All that matters now is that what we do to serve Albertans from this day forward. And I want to invite each of our MLAs, our members, our volunteers, our supporters, every single one of you to join me to govern with strength and compassion, to protect our fellow Albertans from the NDP Liberal coalition in Ottawa, and to lead this party to a resounding victory against the NDP in 2023. To win in 2023, we need to focus on the issues Albertans are most concerned with. As you know, Canada and Alberta are in the midst of an inflation and affordability crisis that has been primarily caused by the fiscally destructive policies of the NDP coalition with the Liberals in Ottawa. When you flood the money supply with hundreds of billions in new spending and pursue policies that spike the price of energy and transportation, the result is crippling inflation that is hurting a sizable majority of Albertans. The 30-year-old university graduate living in her parents' basement because she can't afford the damage deposit on a rental. The single mom who has to resort to smaller and less nutritious meals for her young son and daughter because she can't make the budget stretch any further. The working father forced to take extra shifts and overtime because if he doesn't, he won't be able to pay for the extra interest being charged on the family's mortgage from repeated interest rate hikes. And the senior living on a fixed income, anxious about how they're going to afford to pay for their needed prescriptions when their power and heating bills increase this coming winter. These are not uncommon stories. They are not exceptions to the rule. I've been speaking with hundreds of these Albertans for months. Albertans and all Canadians are suffering terribly every day at the hands of an inflation and affordability crisis. And that is why I find it so callous that in the middle of this crisis, the NDP Liberal coalition in Ottawa just decided to triple the carbon tax. This will only make energy and groceries and food and fuel and housing more expensive, everything we need to live. And I find it incomprehensible that Rachel Notley has so far refused to call on her federal NDP leader, Jagmeet Singh, to lobby his taxing cohort, Justin Trudeau, to reverse that terrible decision hurting Alberta families. There is no excuse for any party leader seeking to be Premier of Alberta to sacrifice the welfare of Albertans for the sake of towing the line of her federal party. It is time for Ms. Notley to put the welfare of Albertans above the anti-Alberta policies of her federal NDP leader. She is not putting Alberta first, and that's the difference between us. I will always, always put Albertans first. No apologies. Clearly, Albertans want nothing to do with the Notley-Singh-Trudeau alliance of economic destruction. But to earn the trust of Albertans, we need to do more than just stand up to the NDP Liberal coalition. We must do more than be the party of economic growth and balanced budgets and debt reduction and lower taxes. That's just part of who we are as a party and as a government. But we also need to show Albertans that we can be trusted to compassionately care for our vulnerable and our seniors, especially in this time of crippling inflation. We need to reform the dysfunction of Alberta Health Services and repair our broken EMS services with swift, decisive action. That also means repairing our relationship with nurses and doctors. It means replacing managers with frontline staff. It means attracting additional health professionals from around the world. And it means that, as Premier, when I direct AHS management to double ICU capacity by a specific date and give them the resources to do so, that direction is followed immediately. And if they can't do that, then we will find others who can do it for them. Although we will always balance the budget and control increases in spending, we must also demonstrate the compassion Albertans expect of us by ensuring the vulnerable can afford the necessities of life during this inflationary crisis. We must ensure our teachers, our children have the teachers and education assistants and tutors that they need to succeed, especially after the disruption to education over the last couple of years. We must address the mental health and opioid crisis that is stealing our young people from us. And we must give a hand up, a warm hug, real hope, and real help to those on our streets who don't know where else to turn. We are Albertans. Yes, we are entrepreneurs and business people and fiscally prudent, but we also have heart and compassion that matches the size of our mountains. Our generous compassion is the very soul of Alberta, and Albertans demand a government that reflects that compassion, especially in times like these. As Premier, I will ensure we act swiftly to demonstrate exactly that. Now, friends, in the months ahead, we must recognize that there are those in Ottawa and the establishment, even some in Alberta, that don't want to see our party be unified. They don't want us to succeed. And sadly, these folks will do and say almost anything to keep us from succeeding. They will dredge up old statements and mistakes from the past. They will use cancel culture and fear-mongering in an attempt to scare and dissuade Albertans from supporting our MLAs and me. For example, it is safe to say that many in the Notley-Singh-Trudeau alliance will claim that my plan to stand up to Ottawa with the Sovereignty Act is somehow meant to move Alberta toward leaving our beloved Canada. That is a lie. What Albertans want is for our province and all provinces to have our rights under the Constitution of Canada protected and respected by an increasingly hostile Ottawa regime that seeks to control every aspect of our lives. From healthcare to education to free speech to delivery of our social programs, they want to control it all. because that makes it easier for them to impose their agenda on Albertans and on Canadians. That is not the way to unify a country or secure prosperity. That is a road to division and economic ruin, which is why, in closing tonight, I want to speak to our fellow Canadians. Albertans love Canada. It is our country, our home. All we want is to live, grow, and prosper in the manner that we choose. We want to set our own course, develop our resources and economy, and run our social programs and society as we think best. We also want to share our prosperity with the entire country. So tonight, I invite every Canadian to partner with us, partner with Alberta. Let's work together to build the strong, prosperous, and unified Canada that we know that we can be. A Canada where provinces work together and empower one another to reach our unique individual goals and aspirations. A Canada that celebrates our great diversity of opinion and thought, rather than one that demonizes and sanctions one another for expression and speech deemed unacceptable by woke politicians in Ottawa. A Canada that respects all of our citizens, regardless of their religious, cultural, or political beliefs. Together, we can be the solution to the world's energy crisis and wrestle away the leverage that thug dictators are using against an energy-starved Europe. Together, we can be the energy superpower that provides billions of people in Africa and in Asia with the clean LNG needed to replace their reliance on coal, wood, and other high-emission fuel sources, saving billions of tons of emissions and replacing them with billions of dollars for our citizens and our economy and our social programs. We can become the nation that develops the breakthrough technologies that make continued fossil fuel use not only possible, but preferable for fueling the energy needs of this generation and the next. And we can feed the planet with our world-class food producers and technologies. We can build the most innovative, entrepreneurial, and well-educated workforce in the developed world, where students are taught to create and build and innovate, rather than to conform, obey, and profess allegiance to failed and outdated ideologies. Alberta wants to play a central role in building that Canada with you as an equal partner, and I invite you and those you elect to join us in building the most prosperous and free country on earth. My friends, tomorrow I'm going to be meeting with our MLAs, and we will discuss unity and how to best meet the massive responsibility in front of us. And like you, we will all be returning home to celebrate Thanksgiving, to give thanks for our families and loved ones that for too long were kept apart, to give thanks for our freedoms and the opportunities ahead, and to give thanks for our great province, her wide open spaces, pristine landscapes, and amazing people. And after Thanksgiving, next Tuesday, I will travel to our capital city to be sworn in as the next Premier of Alberta. And I can't wait to get started. Thank you, and may God keep our land glorious and free.